Okay, so welcome to today's Monday Mindset, which hopefully, if you have seen the message, you would have seen the title here is Finding Your Power Even During Times of Challenges and Obstacles. And this is going to be quite interactive. So I want you guys to type into the chat box for me. We are looking at our book of the month, which is The Power Principle by the amazing Blaine Lee, with a foreword by one of my favorite authors, Stephen Covey. If you've got your book, wave your book one more time. I know some of you waved your book at the beginning. Wave your book if you have your book. If you haven't got your book yet, or you haven't ordered it yet, put it down on your to-do list to get this book. We're going to be looking at this book every Monday for the rest of this month, The Power Principle. Okay, last week we just started talking about, from the introduction of the book, and we started to really speak about the answer being on the inside of us, and that we can influence ourselves, and that we have the power on the inside of us. And today we're going to talk about how to really find that power even during challenges, obstacles, things that don't necessarily go the way that we may have anticipated them to go. And we looked at the way that the book spoke about power being influenced, and how we could perceive power in a negative way, or we can perceive power in a positive way. And that there were three types of power, three paths to power, and how we look at other people that are powerful. Can anybody remember? Type in the chat box if you can remember those three paths, okay? If not, I'm going to remind you real quick, okay? So some people are seen powerful because they can hurt people, okay? So they have power because they can potentially hurt people. Some people have power because they can do things that other people want. And other people have power because they believe in others, and they can influence people without them sometimes even knowing it. And the book talks about how we should really, aim to get to that third part of power, where we can help to pull out the best out of people. But before we can do that with anybody else, guys, who do we have to do it with? Of course, we have to do it with ourselves. And so I was thinking about this week, and I was reading parts of the book. And there was a part that was saying, when are you powerful? Page 10 of the book. We all recognize power in other people, right? Type in the chat somebody that you believe is a powerful person. All right, type in the chat, maybe a famous person or somebody you know. Just find the chat box and just type that in the chat, and have a think about why you believe that that person is indeed powerful. What are some of the traits that that individual that you're thinking of actually possesses? Why you believe that they are indeed powerful? What is it about them that makes them powerful? Let's type in the chat. See Biden, Malcolm X, Donald Trump. What is it that makes these individuals, Neo? What is it that makes these people powerful? Can pull out some words. What makes you think that they are indeed powerful? What is it about them? I notice I've seen all men so far. Does that have anything to do with it? Their influence. What about their influence? What is it about their influence that makes them powerful? Angela Bassett, thinking outside the box. I like that. What else? What else have we got? What makes an individual powerful? Okay, now we're pulling out the traits. Confidence in their presence, authority. People follow them. They have clear thoughts. All right. Is that something that each and every one of us have the power to do? They're visionaries. Okay. They're leaders. Do we all have the same power in which these people, the traits that we're explaining to these individuals, know what they want, right? This is the thing, because sometimes we can put other people above us, other people who are, in the spotlight, or, out there, celebrity status, etc. But what we really want to do is we really want to pull out some of the traits and ask ourselves, well, what's the difference between them and us? What's the difference between them and us? And now we can start to think. Now, especially if you're from certain parts of the world, especially here in the UK, you're taught to be modest. It's almost frowned upon if you are too confident. You guys know what I mean? Like, we don't, we don't want to say our accolades. We don't want to be seen as being cocky or showing off. And sometimes we can have a misconception of power based on how others that we have seen have, used their power in not such a good way. Can you think of a person that you've had connections with, maybe an old boss, or maybe an old, somebody, I don't want you to put their name in, but tell me the relationship that you had with them, who you believe they used their power in not the right way. Come on now, we can all think of somebody, we can all think of a circumstance, a situation where maybe the power that was executed, we could see that it was used, an ex-team leader. Okay, I hear you, right? Have you ever heard the saying, the power has gone to their head? Has anyone ever heard that saying before? Work colleagues, managers, right? Anyone ever seen someone get promoted or get a title and all of a sudden the power has just gone straight through the roof? A director, I hear you, Andrea, right? So work manager, old boss, manipulated women and held staff to ransom. Oh my gosh, I remember when I was in the bank and we had these targets, this going back years ago, and these targets literally meant that if we didn't hit the target, the old boss would actually lock us in the building and force us to stay there making cold calls until we hit the target, right? It was actually crazy. Out there, their titles make them think they're better than HR. And here's the thing, anyone know Mr. John C. Maxwell, the #1 leadership coach in the world, author who's written the most books around leadership? What does he say? He says that title is the lowest level of leadership that there is, okay? And so, the power can be in a double-edged sword. You've got the power that's used for the best and the power that's used, for not so good. And so what we want to be is, we want to be people, we want to be leaders, we want to be influencers that use the power on the inside of us to do good. Do we all agree? We want to be seen as doing good. We want to do good when it comes to the power and the influence that we execute. And now we understand that there's a choice. I want to bring it back to us first of all, and then we can look at how we can, impact the world and change lives. But the first thing we have to do is understand how to execute that power to impact ourselves first. Now, the book says on page 14 that problems are opportunities in workflows. Most opportunities come disguised as problems. Has any of you ever, and I don't know if this has happened to you, this definitely happened to me. Have you ever had something come up that's caused you to really have to think outside the box? And then you're like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of this? This is actually a better solution, right? I'll give you an easy, cheesy example. I was tired of telling, husband, kids, to pick up their mess after them. I was tired of having the situation of doing the washing and then finding out that they've left some of the stuff behind. It was a big problem for me. I was frustrated. I'm running many businesses. And I'm like, yo, why can't you guys just bring the stuff down? Why is it that I'm always having to double up on the washing? I'm having to double. And this problem carried on, guys, for over a year. And then I remember speaking to one of my friends, and she says, Nick, I've got to go because I need to go in and let the cleaner in. And I went, you got a cleaner? How many of us have had the perception that cleaners are for rich people? I don't know, right? This is going back 5 years. I've now had a cleaner for the last 5 years. But the point is, my perception of cleaners was that you had to be rich to have a cleaner, like cleaner. And my friend just said this one thing to me, and she said, Nikki, do you know it's only £10 an hour? Like, it's not a lot of money to change, the frustrations that you're having. And I'm cussing. I'm like, oh God, these people, they're not picking up the stuff, and and I'm getting into one about it. And one conversation with one of my good friends, and this is why it's important, who you're talking to. And she was like, look, I've got a cleaner. Right? It really does make your life easier. It's £10 an hour. Get them in for a couple of hours, every other day or a couple of days, and just give yourself that peace of mind. I want to declare right now on this call that some of you are going to be in a season where your lives are about to get easier. You're going to be more powerful and productive because there's going to be helpers. You're not just going to be an employee, but you are now going to employ others. You are now going to have people on the payroll so that it's going to make your life easier, right? And so that one seed, that one thing one conversation, I was like, why didn't I think of this? But you see, when you're not exposed to certain types of information, you can be stressed, you can be, rushing around, spending a lot of time doing stuff that are not going to bring out the power in you because of the old paradigms that we were taught when we were younger, that these things need to be done by us. How many of us had parents that said, listen, you need to learn to cook, clean, wash, you need to do this and that and that and that. And my mom, I watched her. She had a regimen, a cleaning regimen. We were doing the skirting boards. We were doing the, Sunday was the ironing day. Saturday was the washing day. And she had a whole schedule of this, right? And so I believe that that was the way things were supposed to be. And so in order to really pull out the power that's on the inside of you, you've got to be open and receptive to doing things a different type of way. Oh, you got to be open and receptive to allow the challenges to make you think about doing things in a different type of way, to let you understand that, hey, maybe there's a different way to doing this. How about we look at challenges as feedback? Is anybody going through something right now? I don't want you to tell me your business, but just put a yes in the chat if there's a challenge that you need to overcome right now, that there's something going on in your life that you need it to shift. You need something to move. You need some breaking. You need a breakthrough. There's something going on in your life, a challenge that's happening right now that you need to move that challenge out of the way. You want that challenge to move. Maybe it's health challenge. Maybe it is legal challenge. Maybe it is relationship challenge, work challenge, business challenge, money challenge, financial challenge, wherever children challenge, wherever the challenge is, there's a challenge there. And you're saying, listen, I pray that I have the power on the inside of me to overcome this challenge that's happening right now. And the book says that challenges are opportunities in workflows. I had a conversation with a young girl the other day, and I said, do you know the challenge that you're going through right now? When you overcome this, you are now the expert in your field. Do you know that once you overcome this, you now have your coaching program? Once you overcome this, you are now qualified to speak about this on stages and be paid for the challenge that you've been able to overcome. Do you understand that what makes you an expert at something is to be able to go through it? How many of you, let me just reverse this and ask you this question, ladies and gentlemen. Have you ever seen anybody online talking the talk and you know they ain't been through it? Now, I'm not saying there's not some people that's anointed to talk about things, but we are living in a day and age now where you have people online telling you to join their program. Maybe they're teaching you about, have you seen these property gurus? And they're telling you to come sign up and I'm going to teach you how to be a property entrepreneur. And the guy that's selling you the program has no property himself. He makes his money from selling you the program, but he himself hasn't gone through the program to be able to confirm that the program works, right? And so we're in a day and age now where people are making money, they're making careers, they're making, real big, I'm talking 6, 7, 8 figure incomes from teaching things that they have not gone through themselves. So how do you disqualify yourself who's gone through it and overcome it? You are indeed an expert in that field. How many of you have been an expert at handling teenagers? Come on now. Handling teenagers. I see Andrea felt that one. How many of you are an expert of overcoming bad relationships? How many of you on this call are experts at dealing with prejudice? Experts at dealing with being singled out of the workplace? Experts of having to fight your way into rooms that you had no business being in? How many of you on this call right now can fry some chicken? You're an expert at the macaroni and cheese. You've been doing that piece of chicken, that fried fish. Everyone comes to your house every single day because they know that when they come to your house, they're going to get that good food because you have mastered your skill set. But because it's you, you don't see yourself powerful. Because it's you, you don't see yourself an expert. Homework, and you guys know I love to give homework. Homework number 1. I want you to write down one thing that you are an expert at. And I want you to, I want you to write that down. You don't need to tell me right now. If you're happy to tell me, put it in the chat. But I want you to really have a good think about this, because I want you to understand that you are an expert at something and maybe you are sleeping on your expertise. Maybe there's a power on the inside of you right now. Maybe there's something that drove you, just like me with the cleaning situation. There's something that drove you to find a solution to something. But you don't really know how to put that into a program, or to put that in, to monetize it, or to get yourself out there. But you know for sure that there is a skill set there. That you're an expert at something. Nobody tell me you're not an expert at nothing. There's something that you're an expert at. How many of you right now, your friends are the ones that call you for advice all the time because you've lived a little. You've had some things go on in your life, right? How many of you are an expert right now at certain things and you think, oh, I just do this normal? Come on now. It's not normal. What's normal for you is not normal for somebody else. I see giving financial advice. Come on now. This is your chance to plug yourself. This is your chance for you to plug yourself to the rest of. Let me teach you about, really exuding the power that's on the inside of you. Really making sure that you understand your power. And I teach this to my community every single time, guys, is showing up everywhere. Never fail to show up everywhere you go. Whether it be cameras on, whether it be aggressively typing in that chat, make sure you're remembered. Cass, I'm going to tell you today, change that iPhone name so people know who you are, right? I see expert in children and families, giving advice, teaching, trading education, right? There are some expertise that you have that somebody else is willing to pay for, that somebody else is saying, hey, look, I wish I had someone to teach me that. I wish I knew how to overcome this obstacle. I wish I knew how to get over this challenge. Personal tax. Oh, Lorraine, you're speaking to my heartstrings. Helping women to manage menopausal symptoms. See there? Every single person on this call has power. Navigate. But put a number 7 in the chat if you feel like you're playing too small. If you either don't even have a price, you haven't even advertised, or your prices are too low. Come on now. I need us to understand the power that's on the inside of us today. I need us to understand. And so the book says that we choose, there's a choice, remember. We can either choose power or we can choose to be powerless. Right? Power or powerless. Now, when the challenge comes, guys, the challenge is there. If you choose power, the question is, what am I to learn from this? What can I learn from this situation? A lot of the times when challenges come, it's only for 2 reasons. You guys ready for this? It's either to promote you or to correct you. Ouch. It's either to promote you or to correct you, or both. There's a challenge that you're going through right now, and there's a muscle that needs to be developed. There's a challenge that you're going through right now, and it's going to lead to a promotion. There's a challenge that you're going now. If you keep going through the same challenges over and over again, there's a correction that may need to happen. I went through a challenge and it kept coming over and over again. Paperwork. Oh, put me on stage to talk all day, every day. But tell me about tax, Lorraine. Tell me about keeping the receipts. Tell me about this. And I just kept getting late for the tax bill, getting fined. And every year I kept getting fined. Why? Because I didn't learn my lesson. So I had to employ someone because I knew that wasn't my fault. I knew yeah. So I had to fix it. You see, if I kept doing the same thing over and over again, I'm going to keep getting the same results. And so sometimes we got to dig deeper into the patterns behind the challenges. But not every challenge is come to correct you. Some challenges come to promote you. Do you know that the challenge that you went through last year, the challenge you went through 5 years ago, is water off a duck's back for you now because you've overcome that? The challenges that you went through when you were 15, 16, 17. I was speaking to a 17-year-old and I was saying to her, what's the challenges for you right now? And she said the comparison. Social media has got me comparing. I'm really worried about my future because I'm comparing to other people around my age that are doing so much better on social media. I'm really worried. I said to her, let me tell you something. You see what you're worried about now? I don't want to disregard your challenges, but in 5 to 10 years' time, these challenges for you, you ain't even going to remember them. So let me teach you how to avoid the spirit of comparison. Have a vision. Know who you're called to be. Figure out who you are. Figure out what you're good at and work on that. That way you avoid distractions. And so do you understand the power that's on the inside of you? Now, when a challenge comes, the first question I ask myself is this something I can do about it? Is it within my power to do something about it? Can I do something about it? Now, if the answer is no, genuinely no, it is out of my hands, there's nothing I can do about it, then I have to let it go. I have to say, you know what, over to you, God. This is something that's out of my control. You see, I can't control the challenge, but I can control how I handle the challenge. I can control how I behave with the challenge. I can control how I think. You guys remember TEAR? T-E-A-R. Your thoughts affect your emotions. Your emotions then impact your action, and your action will then help the result. And so if I can control my thoughts, can I think about my thinking? I told you guys the other day that I had this negative thought pop into my head, right? I had a goal by the end of yesterday to hit 9,000 followers on my Instagram. And, you know, by the week before, I still needed just shy of 200. I was like, oh God, it's not going to happen. And I instantly crop failure, correct that thought, Nikki. That's a broke thought, crop failure. Someone type crop failure in the chat. You got to crop failure those thoughts when they come into your mind. The devil wanted to attack me there. I was like, yo, crop failure. Where you come from, thought? Because it's not that the thoughts don't come. It's do you think about your thinking enough to be able to stop those negative thoughts and stop those damaging thoughts that come into your head? And so I crop failured it, and I said, hell no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to up it. I'm going to put some reels down. I'm going to, you know, interact more with some people who interact with me. And guys, exactly yesterday, I went over 9,000 followers. You see, whatever you speak out your mouth, it has to be done. And I use that as a very simple example of how my mind got me to take action, because my mind said, no, Nikki, I'm not going to allow that thought to sow into my brain. Remember the last book that said our mind is fertile ground, and whatever we decide to sow will grow. And so I recognized the thought that came into my mind. I crop failured it and I replaced it with, no, Nikki, it is done. The goal is the goal, and we haven't reached there yet. You see, some of us, what we do is in the challenge, we change the direction of the goal. We begin to change what we speak. How do we affect our thoughts, ladies and gentlemen? Is by what we say out of our mouth. How many of us are guilty of sometimes allowing our thoughts to come out our mouth? So when we think, oh my God, it's not going to happen, we say it out of our mouths. And then when we say it out of our mouths, is going into our ears, which our ear gates is the fertile ground for our mind, and that soaks into our mind. And guess what? That then affects our emotions. Remember, TEAR affects our emotions. So now we feel bad. Now we feel defeated. Now we feel like we can't get into it. Now we feel like the life is over. No, I knew I was a failure. I knew that. And then we start to say, okay, I'll give it another month. And we start to make excuses, stretch the goal, or completely forget about it. And of course, that then affects our actions. So we slow down completely, and that ultimately affects the result. And so can we get to the root of the thought process? And so the thought process is, if there's nothing I can do about it, then I have to park it. Can I still keep my joy during the challenge? Can I keep speaking the right things during the challenge? Can I keep listening to the right music during the challenge? Can I keep setting my environment during the challenge? The last week, your goal was to have your environment set up in a way that's going to encourage you. How many of you did the homework? If you haven't done it, you got to do it this week. Set up your environment so when you look around, you can see your rebuild. You can see the power that's on the inside of you, because you have these reminders reminding you everywhere. I don't believe in a vision board. I believe in a vision environment. Everywhere you go. When I get in your car, I should see your goals. When I look on your fridge, I should see your goals. When I'm in your office, I should see your goals. When I am, in the bath, in the shower, I should see your goals. Have you set up a vision environment to really help you to pull the power out of you? Guys, the freedom to execute your power isn't free. You have to put the work in to fight for the freedom that you deserve. And so if we cannot do anything about it, we park it. But when we can do something about it, someone say, I can. When we can do something about it, we then begin to say, okay, what can be done? Okay, I see the situation. I see the challenge. I see it. I can see it. I know exactly what's going on here. But now what can I do? Let me see if I can draw something that my mentor did, which I think is just so powerful, guys. Let me see if I can draw this for you. All right. Tell me if you can see my screen. Put thumbs up if you can see my screen right now. Right. And I've done this for you guys before. Okay. Excuse the wiggly line, but you know what I'm doing right here. Okay. You can see my screen. Perfect. So you are here. Right. And you want to get to there. So whatever the challenge is down there, and you want to get to here. Are you guys already, are you seeing it, guys? You're here, and you want to get to there. Just put a yes in the chat. Let me know you can see. Okay? Let me see if you can see. Perfect, right? So you're here, you want to get to there. Now, the only thing separating you from here to there is the T, right? You guys see that? And the T, ladies and gentlemen, stands for time. Time. Now, what you do during this time will determine how long you're going to be here for. So what are you going to be doing in this period? What are you going to be doing during this time? Right? During this time, let me tell you, it's got to do with your senses, right? So what are you speaking? What are you seeing? Smelling? Oh, I'm going to put hearing here because speaking isn't a sense, right? Tasting. See, smell, taste, touch, right? So during the time when you're in that challenge, here's emotional intelligence. You got to feed your senses with the powerful attributes as opposed to the powerless. So the powerless is you telling yourself it's over. Oh my God, pity party. Why me? What's going on? I don't think this is possible. It's all over. I can't do this. Oh, it's not going to happen. You're now feeding your senses with all of that negativity. You're going to stay here. You ain't going to get there. But during the time, can you keep hearing the right things? Now, hearing the right things is around who you're around. The first person you listen to is who? Yourself, because whatever comes out of your mouth, you are the number one taker for that information. So what do you speak out of your mouth? I'm very intentional as a mother of three. I don't let my children speak lack or negativity around me. It just doesn't happen. We're not even allowed to say the T word. Guys, you know the T word is banned. We don't say the T word, right? It rhymes with cry, starts with T. We just don't say it here because you're either doing it or you're not. There's no T, right? There's none. I don't want to hear them say can't. I don't want to hear them say it's not going to happen. And my children, even from the youngest, they will say, no, Mom, we don't say that word here. Because whatever you speak out your mouth, you're listening to. So how do you respond to the challenge? How do you speak during the challenge? What's the type of words that you're hearing? Who are you around that's speaking into your ear gates? Do you know there's always that one friend that you can call and sit there for hours and just talk about all the negativity, and then we'll massage that negativity? Really now? I'm going to get into that in a moment. Let me just skip that part because otherwise we ain't going to come off this call. What are you seeing? Are you seeing your goals? Or are you seeing distractions? Let me tell you something, guys. During this time, let me tell you what you need. G-O-D. I want you to write this down, guys. Right? G-O-D. You got to remember that. You got to remember that. Let me tell you. You have to make a decision, guys. Is goals or distractions? Goals or distractions? During this time, You can't have both. You cannot have both. You have to choose. Do you choose your goals or do you choose distractions? So during this time, what are you seeing? Do you have a vision environment? Have you printed out your goals? Have you made a commitment to your children about the goal so they understand? Like, you know, mommy needs to do a Zoom every day. If you don't see me do an Instagram live, if you don't see a Zoom, tell mommy off, because that goal is directly connected to you going to Disney World. How about you get some accountability? Do you have mentorship? Do you check in with your mentor on a daily basis, weekly basis, to hold you accountable during this time? Smelling. What are the smells that you're smelling? Oh, that's an interesting one. You see, during the biggest challenge of your life, if you have a financial challenge, I'm going to tell you something crazy right now that works. Go and test drive your dream car. Go and view the house that you want. How many of you are manifesting a house this year? How many of you right now are manifesting a new car this year? Where do you want to live? Have you actually looked online? Have you gone on there to see, oh, but Nikki, I don't have the money. You see, it's come out your mouth. The fact that it's come out your mouth means you ain't never going to have the money. You keep speaking you don't have the money, you're not going to have the money. Remember, we said that your emotion, how you think, what you speak affects how you think affects your emotion, how your emotional will affect your action, and that action is going to get you the results. So Joan, you want a new car. What car is it? What color is it? Have you gone and smelt the leather? Have you test driven that car? Have you gone to your dream home? But Nikki, but Nikki, ring that agent and tell them that you're looking to buy and you have found a house online that they are indeed advertising and you want to go view that house. I don't care if you have the money or not. Go and test drive the car. Take a picture of yourself in it. Put it all over your house. That's gonna, now you've smelt that car. Do you know when I first sat into, you know, I went and I test drove the Range Rover and I smelt the leather in that. Oh God. I hated my BMW the very second I got out of that car. I did not want my BMW anymore. It was the smell, just that newness, that smell. I could smell, even when I came home, I could still smell that car. And then guess what happened? I went and got myself a mentor who had a Rolls Royce. And I went into his Rolls Royce. Big mistake. They say if you want to grow, listen, if you want to grow, if you don't want to grow, don't be around someone that's growing, because you're like an elastic band. Once you stretch, you cannot go back. Now I hate my Range Rover. I'm like, I need to get my Rolls Royce. See, someone said, you know, Nikki, I don't want a Rolls Royce. I said, the reason why you don't want a Rolls Royce is because you never sat in one. That's why you don't want a Rolls Royce, because you ain't never sat in one before. But you go sit in a Rolls Royce. You smell that Rolls Royce. Oh. I remember saying to my mentor, oh, I don't like steak. My husband loves steak, but I can't stand steak. He said, that's because you ain't never been to Steak 48. I was like, oh, really? And we went to Steak 48. He took me to Steak 48. I tasted that steak. Mighty Heavenly Father. The mashed potato tasted like gold. The steak was still alive when it came onto my plate. It was sizzling. It was popping. I now love steak. I love it. But I'll only have steak from Steak 48. See, the reason why you don't want it, I said to somebody the other day, tell me your dream home. She said a 3-bed semi-detached. I said, you don't believe. How are you going to, your dream home is a 3-bedroom semi-detached? Because that's what you believe you can achieve. But how about you put yourself in an environment for something greater to allow you to really get yourself in position to win on a big scale? Can you touch it? What is it you're touching every day? I won't go to certain shops, guys. I don't want those smells. Have you ever been to a restaurant, like, you know, a really nice restaurant, and then you go, no shade, Morley's chicken and chips. The smells are just different. It's not about being highty-tighty. It's about exposing yourself to more, because whatever you expose your senses to is going to determine your results. Now, can you take your senses more personally? Because then you don't go nowhere. Can I tell you a quick story, guys? I tell you this, since this heat wave has been going on, this heat wave has been revelationary for me for so many reasons. And I did an Instagram live and I spoke about this. And I have, I'm very, I like the best. I don't know about you guys, but anytime I search for things, I always search most expensive first. I don't do, I don't know. I don't understand people that do cheapest first. I never do cheapest first. I do most expensive first, whatever I'm buying. And so I was buying last year I was buying a dustbin. And I went online and I looked at the most expensive one first, because that's just what I do, right? I like the best. I deserve the best. I want the best. And so I found this incredible bin, okay? And you put your hand on it. I like my gadgets. You put your hand over it and it opens, and then you can drop the trash inside, right? So you don't even need to touch it. It has a battery inside. Battery quite lasts long. And you put your trash in, and then it closes itself, okay? Now, because I'm really busy in the kitchen, sometimes I don't bother wait for it. I just open it and then shut it back down. And I have done that for a few months, which kind of defeats the purpose, since it's why I got it, right? And, put it back down. Sometimes you'd forget to leave it open, blah, 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 blah. But during the heat wave, it was very evident that this bin had been left open. I'm going somewhere, guys. I promise you this. And so I'm using the bin, and instead of using my hand to activate the bin to get it open, I'm using my hand, lifting it, putting the trash in and shutting it back down. But when you use it manually, it doesn't then manually close back down, because it hasn't recognized that there's been an electronic movement happen. So you have to close it down yourself. And so after a few days, I started to notice a smell. So it's like, what's that smell? What's that smell lingering? What's that smell? I said to my husband, can you smell that? There's a smell. And you see, the whole of the time that I was using this bin, I had no idea that the bin wasn't working. But it was only because of the heat from the sun that erupted the rubbish on the inside of the bin that allowed my senses to tell that the bin was not working. And so now we realized we needed to get rid of that bin, and we needed a new one. Some of you are lost. Let me tell you this. Sometimes you will only realize that something is not fit for purpose in your life anymore until there is heat that is applied. So you see, you have to go through challenges sometimes to really tell whether there is an alignment, whether that relationship, whether that company, whether that environment is fit for purpose in your life. You see, sometimes you thought that they were your best friend because you didn't go through no challenges yet. You thought that was the best place of work because you didn't go through no challenges. How many of you are committed to a workplace for 10, 15 years, and the minute you made a mistake, you then realized that you shouldn't have been committed as you was? Because it's in the challenges where you really begin to learn if that person, that thing is fit for purpose. Oh, some of you don't understand it. You got to understand whether the power that you are executing is actually as strong, actually as efficient as what you believe. But the only way you can determine that is through what? Challenge. Through some heat. Sometimes you got to go through some heat in order to pull out the power that's on the inside of you. Sometimes there's got to be a bit of turbulence. Let me show you this. Let me show you this, guys. Saw my mentor do this just yesterday. I want to show you this. This is powerful. Right? Let me show you this. Boom. Take a look at this. The word challenge. Right? The word challenge. Now, if you look at the last two, the first three letters, boom. Right? And you look at the last two letters, boom. What does that say, guys? Change. Right? What's going to come from a challenge is change. Change. Are you willing to change in order to grow? During the time during that period. Now, check this out, guys. I want you to get this. How many of you have ever prayed for something, right? Remember this? Let's clear this out. How many of you have ever prayed for something, right? You ever been here, right? Let's do this. Okay? You've been in a moment of prayer. New car, new house, right? And you're like, please, Lord, once I get this job, everything's going to be okay. Just give me an extra $5,000. Just give me an extra £500. I won't even ask you for nothing else. Just give me this new house. I will never ask you for anything again. Lord, just help me with this one thing. I will never ask you for anything again. Have you ever been in a place where you're just like, I'm here. Just give me this. Just give me this one more thing. I swear, I'll never ask for anything again. And how many of you guys, when you got that car, the first day you maybe took pictures, you loved it. And after a week, listen, the first week you were cleaning it every day. No one could eat in that car. No one could even breathe. If they breathe too hard, you're like, yo, cover your mouth. You don't want nothing. But a couple months go by, and you got your eyes set on something else. Couple months go by, and now that car that was there, you finally got there. The car is now here again. What am I saying? I'm saying, why stress during the time when you're going from here to there? Because when you get there, you won't be happy. Because what did he say at the beginning of the clip? Success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That means that you are successful when you're going for something, when you are progressively going towards something. That means when you get there, you're not going to be happy anyway. You're always going to be going for something. So why stress in the moments when you're on the way to get there? Because when you get there, how do you execute your power in this time? How do you execute your power in this time? In time of challenge, in time of change, ask myself, what can I do about it? And I want to give you another C word, guys. And I want to tell you this because it works. I want to tell you this from the bottom of my heart. You guys ready for this? You guys ready for this? This is the ultimate solution to a challenge. How many of you want this? I'm going to give it to you. You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this, but I promise you, it works. Promise. You guys ready? It's this word here, create. During times of challenge, can you create? Can you create during times of challenge? During times of challenge, can you create? When you are serving, when you are creating, when you are giving, I promise you this, I kid you not, the mind reacts, the mind works in a way that is just so powerful. That during times of challenge, during times of setbacks and obstacles, you create. A lot of people think you wait. You wait until things get better. But by the time things get better, which they always do, and then you start to create, you're late. And so can you create in the times of challenge? But Nikki, how do I do that? Let me tell you how you do that. You start to diarize, journal. You start to get on your page and you start to speak life, serve, give to others. Tap in more with mentorship. Pour into your mind, speak the right words. Listen to the right audios. Don't wait until things get better before you decide to create. You got to create in the challenge. It's whilst you're going through the challenge you create. Have you ever heard this saying, you charge it to the game? My best work have come from being under pressure. My best work have come from being in a situation of challenge. My best work has come with my back's against the wall. Does anyone know what I'm talking about here? Now, most people don't have the emotional intelligence to say, is it something I can do about it? Or is there something that I can do about it? If it's not, I'm going to park it. If it is, let me start to write down the tangible things that I could do about this situation. And I promise you this, you start to create. You start to build. Guys, do you know that my book came off the back of my baby father leaving me on the floor pregnant with one child and one on the way? I won't have no book. There will be no testimony if I didn't go through that situation. In fact, my book would be very boring if I said, hey, guess what? 7-figure earner. Guess what? Multi-million-pound property portfolio. I didn't go through nothing. Oh no, but when my baby father left me on the floor broken and I didn't know how to feed my kids and I didn't understand how I was going to find worth in myself, when I'm looking at my church and I'm thinking, oh my God, they're backbenching me. I'm out of ministry because I'm now pregnant out of wedlock. I'm looking at my family like, how do I even tell these people that the man that I was with for 15 years had just walked out and left me pregnant? The shame. But instead of having a pity party, which I did for a couple of days, I decided to create. I started to journal. Didn't know that was my book. I started to go on Facebook and I started to declare and decree. Ain't nobody know what was going on. I started to declare and say, this girl right here, I'm a multi-6-figure earner. I'm doing this. I'm launching my coaching. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And I started to speak life over myself on Facebook Live until one day, one lady messaged me and said, Nikki, your live just helped to change my life. And I want to buy your program. Do you understand how that feels when you're in pain and somebody's saying to you, I want to buy your program that came from the pain? That I had to have the courage and the tenacity and the resilience and the strength to even press live when I felt like I just wanted to wrap up in my bed. Celine Dion, my heart will go on. Keisha Cole, where were you? Ha! But one person said, Nikki, your pain spoke to me. I want to buy your program. Because I understood that the power in me was going to come from the creation of the back of the pain that I was going through. I had to change my thoughts. I had to change how I was thinking. I'm saying all this to say to you right now that can you charge it to the game? Oh, they left you? They stole from you? Do you know everything for me is content? Oh no, you did this to me. You've done now. You see, I can create content from a dustbin, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Everything is content. Everything is a lesson. Can you now say that the challenge is now your coaching program? Can you now say, do you know my best work has come when my back's against the wall, when they're talking about me? My best work has come when they told me they didn't believe in me, when I told my family that I was going to be an entrepreneur and I was going to quit my big banking job and they told me that I was crazy. Do you know that that gave me an extra drive to want to win big? But you're sitting there not understanding the power on the inside of you is from the challenge that you're going through. And so, guys, I'm so excited because I believe that there's breakthrough happening right now on this call. I believe that there's some people that say, Nikki, I've just realized that I have the power. I just realized that there's power on the inside of me that no one can take away from me. I just realized that I'm playing too small. I just realized that I have some skill sets that I can offer the world. I just realized that I need to change. You see, the power principle says, it's not them, it's you. The power principle says, Nikki, it's not them, it's you. What's your part you have to play? Nikki, you don't like your belly and you're complaining that you're too busy because you have the kids. But what time do you have? You can go for walks. You can do netball. Oh, Nikki, you're complaining that you don't have enough money, but you haven't put into position the resources that your Heavenly Father, that you say you're part of royalty, has given you. Oh, Nikki, you say that you can't write the book because you don't have enough money yet, but I've given you the resources. I'm putting people in place. Now, here's the thing now. The power principle says this: wealth is indeed your birthright. And guess what? There is honor assigned to recognizing when God has placed somebody in your life to bless you. And so I was guilty, guys. I dishonored the person that God had put in my life to bless me because I was insecure. Oh, everybody who comes near me wants to take from me. Everybody who wants to help me really has a hidden agenda. When you start to think like that, guess what? The thoughts, you end up, what's that? A self-fulfilling prophecy, because whatever you speak, it comes to pass. Whatever you speak out your mouth, it comes to pass. And so I was attracting all these types of people that were taking from me and stealing from me and not recognizing who I was as a leader, because that's what I was speaking. And so the moment I repented, I was like, Lord, I am open and receptive to whoever you put in my life that is going to help me to achieve the mission and the purpose that you've put in my life. I am now open and receptive. Send them to me. And the minute I began to say that to myself, guess what? My eyes began to open. Just like when you say your favorite car, and every time you go outside, that's the only car you see. It is the exact same principle, ladies and gentlemen, that happens when it comes to whatever it is that you want out of your life. Bob Proctor said it at the beginning of this call. Whatever you speak, the minute you say it, it is already done. It is just a matter of what you do from here to there, which is the time. What are you doing in the time? What are you speaking, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching? What are you allowing your ear gates? Some of you have to protect your ear gates from people that are not assigned in your life, that want to speak death over you. Some of you have to protect your eyes. Some of you have to protect your presence, your home. Not everybody should be in your house, around your children, around your dinner table. Some of you have to protect the power that God has given you and begin to walk in it because you deserve it. Walk in it because you claim it. Walk in it because it is yours. And so this week's homework, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to find that one thing that you say, I'm good at this. And I want you to walk in this power this week. Those of you inside the wealth community, you guys have a challenge to find a reel that has gone viral and duplicate that. And those of you on this call now, I challenge you to do that challenge as well. Get yourself out there, claim the victory. You want to break through? How about if I told you that the power is in you? How about if I told you that this freedom, the freedom away from this challenge isn't free? There's a fight that you've got to put in place. Who's going to help you do it? Who are the people you're going to put yourself around? What's the environment you're going to put yourself in? Now, during the here to there process, you get to choose how you execute your power. You're going to go for the powerless, or you're going to go for power. Now, guys, I'm so excited to tell you that I decided in January this year to really go out in my power. And, you know, we launched a book, therebuild.co.uk. If you haven't already purchased my book, go ahead and purchase it, guys. I believe that God has really anointed that book, right? It's an NFT book and also an audio book. So it means that you actually get a digital asset when you purchase it. But therebuild.co.uk, you know, I really believe that you'll be blessed. I believe that every one of us are on our rebuild. And God really spoke to me at the end of last year and said, Nikki, you really got to take this rebuild to a whole new level. And so now we have the rebuild retreats. Okay. If you haven't already applied for the retreat, it's closing next month. There's only 2 spots left and that's it. The retreat is over. It is a 3-day retreat where we're going to point to your mind, your money, your man. It's women only. We're going to really talk about it. We're going to chop it up. It's going to be very, very deep. Okay. And if you want to apply for that, I'm going to put the link inside the community chat. And also it's in my bio inside Instagram. And also as well, guys, the Rebuild Workshop. It is a 1-day workshop from 4 p.m. till 9 p.m. on Saturday, this Saturday. There are only about 8 tickets left for that. If you want to purchase your ticket, again, the link is in my Instagram bio, or you can, of course, DM me and I'll send you that link. On the rebuild, this is workshop 3. If you are somebody that wants to understand how to transition the skill set that you have to be able to sell that skill set and to monetize that skill set, this is the workshop for you. It's going to be on social media. It's going to be on sales. It's going to be on branding. It's going to be really to help you to exude the power that's on the inside of you. And I encourage you, it will be in London. Okay. All the information is on the Eventbrite link. And I encourage you to put yourself in the right room. Really, really think about whether you want to be power or whether you want to be powerless. You got to fight to be in the right rooms. You got to fight to put yourself in position. How are you speaking in this time, guys? I want you to speak exactly what you seek. And I want you to make a commitment to invest in yourself this year more than you invest in anybody else. Because I tell you this, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You can't. You just can't. And I want everyone to declare inside that chat that you are indeed powerful. I'm powerful. I'm claiming it. I see you, Belinda, to claim it as well. And I want to see you guys' homework. Tag me in on Instagram. Let me know that you had done the homework. I want to see your vision environments. I want to see your new affirmations. I want to see you guys really deciding to walk in your power. Who is going to go and test drive this car this week? Who is going to go and make sure that they go and view that property? Who's going to start putting themselves around the right people, the right environments, all right? The rebuild event, we have a fabulous lineup. We have, my very good friend, Bev. Bev is going to be talking at the event as well. I've just seen that she's on. Shout out to Bev. She is a phenomenal coach. Doing great things, very, very motivational. And she's been able to pull a group together of really powerful people. And she serves in a community that is phenomenal, guys. So she's going to be in the room as well. We have the incredible, one of my good friends, Jamila. Jamila is going to be in the room. Now, she is your girl. Guys, I'm plugging you in with, this is greatness. If you need anything for your business when it comes to logos, when it comes to digital products, this girl is, I'm going to be mentoring her properly from next year. Her prices are going up. She's too cheap. I mean, so cheap that it's affordable for even people on benefits right now. She runs a company called Momtrepreneurs, and she is literally giving away her services. You definitely want to connect with her. She does some phenomenal, she does a lot of my branding stuff as well. She's absolutely amazing. And she will be in there talking about, the power of really making sure your branding is right. We also have a phenomenal individual in the sense of a good sister of mine. They're all good sisters of mine. Michelle Raymond. I don't know if you know this girl, but she is going to teach you how to sell to corporates, okay? Because there's a whole new level out there, guys, all right? You're going to have your corporates. And then, of course, my friend, Jennifer, she is going to be teaching you about selling to your teenagers and your children, because you got to sell to your family members. Next week, guys, I'm going to give you some game. I can't do it here. We're going to do it on the event on Saturday, so I can't tell you yet. But next Monday, I'm going to put you on game on some influencing strategies. How many of you are ready for that? I told you last week that we're going to bring that, the 9 influencing strategies to be able to get exactly what you want. I'm going to be teaching this on the event on Saturday. I'm going to do snippets of it on the Mindset Call next week, Monday. So make sure you are in the room. If you haven't already got your tickets, guys, make sure you get it. It's going to be absolutely fly. It's not one of those workshops where you sit down and just take notes and listen to people speaking to you at the front. It is very different. It's called the Table Talk Workshop, okay, where you're going to be in groups, speaking to each other, walking around. It is not something where you're just sitting down. There's no projector, there's no clicker, none of that stuff. This is going to be you sitting down and being able to really get the work done. You're going to be able to practice your selling techniques. We're going to help you with your social media. It is going to be incredible. So if you've ever needed confidence in selling with posture, selling at the right price, and also making sure that you don't get got in this game of, sales. And even if you just have an idea and you want to help transition that into sales, we're going to cover that as well on Saturday. 4 p.m. till 9 p.m. If you have children, hear what? I don't make excuses, guys. As a mom myself, I understand of childcare. If you don't have childcare, you can bring the children along as well, and we'll have a space for them to just sit down and do their stuff. So the info in the event, let me see if I can drop this for you guys. But I'm so excited. For those